All right. And we are live. Lord Cognito here, Iron Lord Podcast, lordsofgaming.net. And who is this fine, familiar gentleman that we're seeing in the realm of New York City?
It's me again. Thank you for having me. Tobi from Warhorse Studios. Friend of the Lord's, I hope. Well, at least you are my friends. So, and today we are here in New York City. First time for me. And I'm bringing Kingdom Come Deliverance. I'm bringing the game of 2025.
So Peter, he's bringing the most highly anticipated game of
I love it.
of 2025.
I was excited when I got that phone call, and Tobi's like, "Hey, we're doing this little thing. You want to come down?" I'm like, "Yes, yes. Where is it? I don't care. I'm coming."
So let's get it.
I was excited.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. Just the history for those who've been living under a rock who have no idea what Kingdom Come Deliverance is. Talk about part one. Talk about the journey and how we get to where we are now.
Well, for those who don't know what KCD1 is, then I think generally I'd say it's a very deep RPG. It's a game about knights and castles, and you trying to fight your fight and find your way and try to survive a brutal world. That is like the basics you have to know about the game. But if you have played it and if you're interested in a little bit more, then we're trying to make a game that is really authentic. So like an authentically medieval thing. History. The game is based on real historical events. You're taking part in that. You see them with your own eyes, and you're playing that regular dude, kind of Henry, who loses everything due to war, and he has to travel the world and kind of try to survive, and you are starting to become part of the society. You in KCD1, you're once you finally train, because that is what you have to do to use the sword and use the horse exactly. You're growing exactly from boy to man there in KCD2, and in the end of the game you are, let's say, accepted by the nobility. You are being sent on a envoy trip to another map, and you are the squire of a noble guy. And in KCD2, you have to now grow from that man you became in the first game to a warrior. Warrior is very important because you are never becoming a hero. It's really regular Henry, regular Joe, kinda, still village boy who they will. The world is not waiting for you, so the world should somehow work and function without you, and you are not the dragonborn, you are not the one with the special mark everyone is shitting kittens when you arrive. This is not happening, and you always have to prove yourself, but now you are being torn into the civil war that is going on, where there's armies invading. You will stand in between those armies. There's kings and emperors which you might meet this time, and you are being part now of a group that is doing this guerrilla warfare attacks against the invading king. So invading emperor, well, now king, then emperor, and so the stakes are higher, the stages are bigger, and now Henry again has to prove that he is worthy.
Love the backdrop. One thing what I appreciate about Kingdom Come Deliverance is just how rooted it is. Like you said, this is not dragons and magic. This is a regular guy, finding his place in the world while the world is going around him, but also the historical accuracy. You guys really pay attention to detail. So even though it's like historic fiction in a sense, you're not going one-to-one, but you'll see major figures, say in Bohemia in the Middle Ages, and I really appreciate that. What was your experience with the first one, just in general, just your take of what we played so far?
So from the first one, kind of really, it gives you kind of more of a root understanding of where Henry is and what he's doing and what his background is, and to see his development between that game into this present one. It's really amazing to see that arc and kind of the feeling of how Henry is he lost everything in the beginning, and now he feels like he has a purpose. He has a reason why he's there, and seeing that, it makes me feel like, oh, I am invested in seeing what he means, what he wants to do, and his his growth, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that really stood out from the beginning is what I love what you guys are doing is choice and consequence. From the very start, from what we experienced, it's like, okay, what type of Henry I'm going to be? You know, Hans put me in a situation where I had to talk to another group and explain to try to defuse the situation. And it presented a lot of choice and almost the development of my skill set. Can you talk to us about that in that decision?
Absolutely. So I think first and foremost, Kingdom Come Deliverance is absolutely story-driven RPG. So the story and immersion are the biggest things we want to achieve with the game. We want you to actually really believe that you are Henry and you are in this world and you are now doing or shaping the character of this man, and your actions will have consequences. That's very important. And sometimes it's just tiny dialogue changes or whatever. Sometimes it's changes of the quest line, so something in the quest changes. But sometimes it can be even like big changes. For instance, later in the game there's a situation where Henry and his guerrilla friends now, where they have to attack a castle. It's a story-driven thing. You cannot just randomly attack someone. Well, someone, yes, but not castles or villages or something like that. But you have to attack that, and you know that there's soldiers in there because it's a fortification, and you have to choose now. If we attack straightforward, then the fight will be difficult, and I might endanger the mission and my friends. If we attack that village next to it first, then we endanger the civilians living there. But the mission is safer and my friends are safer. However, if you now think back, this is exactly what happened to Henry in the first game, right in the beginning. His village was not some military target, it was just a distraction for something else, and he's now put in the position where he has to go through those internal, like, deep moral choices and so on. And again, as I say, sometimes your decisions can have major consequences for the outcome of the game. Right in the beginning, you met two guys that are searching for you, right?
Yes, I didn't know if we were allowed to discuss. I didn't know if we were allowed to discuss that. Yes. Oh, yes. We both we changed the way that we decided to kind of pick the way we were gonna, complete that mission, if you will. And I went and
what did you do here?
I went and killed the guy, and at the end he was just like, "Hey, we're good, and we're gonna run away." I went after him. I wasn't gonna let him live. I was like, "They hurt me. They're hurting my friends here. I'm gonna go after him." But I went a different route.
Yeah,
how did you go with this?
My scenario is different. I was busy, picking flowers and an antidote for someone. And when I came back, I was presented with, okay, you know what? I could go straight for with them. They were questioning me, but I said, you know what? I'm going to take a diplomatic approach and see how. And then I looked at, which was cool, was the skill set that was available, all the different attributes that I had. So I went with a more aggressive approach to them and say, hey, like, who are you? Identify yourself, and then that kind of diffused the situation, and they actually were intimidated a little bit by me, which was really interesting. I didn't even know if I was capable of that, but it was cool to see that. And then once that dialogue happened, I seen like that the game tell me like my reputation increased and stuff like that. Now, mind you, earlier than that, I was failing a bunch of things, and Hans got mad at me. It was like, hey, you're speaking out of turn. Like, you're not really should be doing that. Let me speak from now on. So I just love the branching dialogue paths, and even though they may be subtle, it does seem like it has effect in the game. And I think you did mention this with certain situations.
Absolutely. So now that situation's prime. That's perfect. That's ace. Because now I can tell you something about that. So those dudes that are looking for you, the whole situation is a huge misunderstanding, right? So there's this attack going on, your crew gets killed and so on, you run to that hut, you barely survive, and now those dudes are coming and they're searching for you. However, they think you are someone else and you think they are someone else. Now, if you kill them, end of story, or end of line in a way. If you keep them alive, you will meet those guys later in the game again. The situation will clear, everything like, oh, okay, that was lucky, and they will help you on a quest later on. So those guys are not. Don't worry, it's not like you kill major, like main character guys.
I only killed one, not two. I just want to specify that. Go ahead.
One ran away. You let one flee.
One.
So let's see how that settles. But what I'm trying to say is that those guys, you will meet them later, they will help you, and you as a player will then feel this like, oh, that's kind of cool, right, moment. So as I said, some consequences are or some decisions change the dialogue. So I know exactly which which situation you were describing. There were these lords, and Henry's then stepping up and trying to say something, and you are threatening the lords, and they are saying, or the captain actually, and they are saying like, dude, watch your tongue. That's not how you should talk to us. And Hans is then later on when you meet him again, it's like, dude, this can cost us our lives. Don't talk to people like that. If they have so they're schooling you in a way, and I think this reactiveness of the world to what you are doing and how you're behaving is really cool, because it again immerses you in this world, and they are like really reacting to what you do, and that is very important for us.
No, I love it. And one thing off the bat I noticed, again, how overly cinematic in a good way the game is. Like the littlest things you do, maybe a cutscene involved with it, explaining to it. And then playing KCD2 immediately reminded me how rooted it was. You know, I have to wash. I have to bathe. People react to me because of the way I smell or doing things. So I thought that was interesting. And then, you know, the alchemy system, you know, literally going by hand in hand, creating a potion, doing these things in the game. You know, I love that you guys still stuck to your roots. Mm-hmm. And I do want to comment, though, on what is probably the more intricate system in the game, the combat. You know, talk about the decision as far as like going back to the combat, maybe the evolution of things that you've done from the first KCD to this.
Absolutely. So thank you for saying that, because we really tried. So first of all, everything you know from the first game, if you have played it, is being transferred to the second, and we really tried hard to make it smoother, nicer, easier to pick up, not dump it down. It's still based on the same roots as KCD1. So the alchemy system is, you have to do the stuff. The combat is like you have to take care about the opponent and where's his sword and when is he attacking. I need to block in the right moment. Exactly these kind of things. But still, we wanted to make it more accessible for everyone, right? So stay true to the roots, but just less wonky and less frustrating. The combat is, I guess, the single most biggest feature that was overworked. So while many people love the way how we did it, that's good. Some struggled with it. So we said, okay, how can we? Yeah, there you go. How can we solve that, right? So we solved it in a way that let's maybe diversify the animations, movement set skills, something like that. So you still have when you're taking the sword, for instance, that's like the being considered the master of the weapons. Let's say the bastard sword, for instance, right? Then you still have instead of 6 direction, you have still 4, so you can attack the head, the shoulders, stab, so 4, right? Mm-hmm. And if you still believe that, and with that you can do all the combos and tricks and everything, half swording, and really master your way through the game. However, if you still say, you know what, that is still, I just want to click a button, I want to do speech rather, and just click the button and go through the combat. But then, for instance, take a mace or an axe, which you have less of the directions, because who would poke with a mace, right? You just whack the enemy on the head, because that's what you do with the stick, right? But the important point is that this sounds like the weapon is weaker or worse or whatever. This is not the fact, not the case. We have the stone, paper, scissors system, so every weapon is good against a different type of armor, right? Okay. So a blunt weapon is very good against plate armor, a sharp weapon is good against a softer armor, and so on. So you are not picking a worse weapon, you are picking a weapon that suits you better for how you play. Mm-hmm. And now Henry has something, I call it a Batman belt. He has this belt now, in which you can equip several weapons, for instance, up to 4 or 6, 4 definitely. And you can prepare for the situation. So you can put on a mace, a sword, a crossbow, and a firearm, for instance, a gunpowder weapon. Okay. So you see the enemies approaching, you see, let's say 3-4 people, one is coming, so first you take the firearm and shoot the first, put it away. See some guy in plate armor, you take out your mace and you whack the guy on the plate armor. Then the others are maybe surrounding you, and you see that they are the weaker ones, they have the softer armor, so you put the mace again away and put out the sword and then slice your way through. So it's what we tried by the evolution of KCDs to make it again smoother, more streamlined, easier to pick up, just better, just quality of life improvements and so on. The only thing which you can't change is the armor sets. While you can have different sets now free actually, which I recommend, like a fighting set, a stealth set, and a speech set. So it's something like fancy clothes, some heavy clothes, and some dark clothes maybe, or something the way with stealth is easier. While you can change those with a click on a button in your inventory, which is again quality of life improvement, you cannot do that in the middle of combat. So you can put away a weapon and put out another one, but you cannot change your entire outfit. So you need to be prepared. You see enemies, you change your outfit, you go in, and then deal with it.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I actually appreciate how you feel about that as far as that.
The weapons, from what we've kind of played with so far, they really have this uniqueness, like you were saying, depending upon what you're grabbing, what you're doing during your combat, and it really kind of sets Henry to allow him to master whatever he really wants. And that was one thing that I really enjoyed about the first one, where you had your ability to level up its own individualized skills, but now I feel like you've grown upon that and you kind of allowing us to do, or specialize I should say, into certain things. And I just want to just take a moment to kind of talk about the alchemy portion of it. The mini game options that you've discussed with us, I'm not sure what we're allowed to talk about, but I love the mini games in it, because it really does. It takes me a moment to kind of break up the story. I love the story. Those writers are amazing. I really love how that kind of like pulls you in and gives you these feelings of wanting to continue.
Emotions in the face.
Yeah, and the emotions in the face, and how the feeling. Like I said, you kind of. You can't relate to the situations. I can't relate to the situations, but just seeing how it goes, it really kind of digs in on you, and you're like, okay, this is what happens. And then the next thing you know, there's like an hour and a half later, and I was like, oh my God, what's happening? But those, like I said, the mini games are amazing. The writing is amazing. One thing that is interesting that you were discussing about it was the world, the environment. Now, would you say it's 4 times the size of the original KCD?
Well, it really depends how you measure it. So KCD1 was 4 by 4 kilometers. Now we have 2 maps. One is a bit smaller than that, and one is a bit bigger than that. So theoretically, you could say it's twice the size of the first game, but practically it really depends, and not every corner is visitable and so on. So yeah, it's more or less twice the size.
And the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because it feels so lush, the environment, and it makes you feel like you are trudging through these forests, or going through these rock, establishments when you're kind of going through, or even the buildings. They feel like the graphics feel like they've come up in so much more in quality, and it feels so well kind of placed.
Yeah, and for the record, this is CryEngine, that's fine, because this game looks absolutely gorgeous. From like PD, like you said, the backdrops, the environments. One thing I really notice is the way the characters emote. But one that I really appreciate is actually the enunciation of the words. I feel like they are actually communicating, and it's not just off lip sync or anything like that. Like I saw the character. Like, could you talk about the tech used and maybe the motion capture to kind of create this effect?
Someone on my trip now that I'm doing, someone said that KCD feels a lot like a playable Netflix series, which I honestly like a lot, that quote. So it should drag you in, and like you want to know more, and what's the next part of the story, and what's happening to this guy, and so on. So really, the story is the most important part, and to make that happen, we need to have, well, good graphics, of course, but exceptional writing. No. I think it's exceptional, but you guys judge it for yourself. So I think it's deep and dark and gritty, but meanwhile also very humorous. So we focus a lot on this bromanship between Hans and Henry going through the world, and they like each other, but kind of Hans all the time makes sure that Henry knows his place in a way.
No.
Henry.
If not, he's going to get slapped.
Yeah. Henry, however, doesn't want to accept that so much, so he's always doing the side jabs and everything. So that is kind of cool. But tech-wise, we of course have our own motion capture in the studio. So the English voiceovers are the ones that we are doing by ourselves. So we had all the mostly English, some American actors in Prague. Actually, there's a huge English actor community in Prague, because we have English theater there as well. So it's good. It's easy to cast there. On the other hand, you have, if you play Stalker, so you find the KCD actors also in Stalker. So the pool is small, so you will hear the same voices again, or Arma or so, these kind of games. But so we had the motion capture got bigger than we had it before. We are now also having this little when they have the helmets with the little camera in the front, so we are capturing also the faces, which is very funny when you go through the stages of cinematics. Everything starts with these faceless like dolls that are doing this the cutscenes. Then the next step is the dolls get a head, and on this head is like this. It's a video, or the 2D video kind of that actor, so it looks a bit like a Teletubby doing stuff. all colorful and so on. It's really funny. And then at some point it becomes a cutscene eventually. So that is the thing. And I think generally the studio got bigger, absolutely. So KCD1 was released with 110 people. KCD2 now at this moment in December we have 250 something people. So almost triple the size. Of course, not right from the start, so it's growing over time. But still, this means that, and we have more resources, and PlayOn who's backing us up, so we have more resources, more manpower, a bigger scope, more time to do the research, is better understanding of the product actually. Because on KCD1 we're trying a lot of things that, for instance, also on paper look great, and then in the game we find out, well, maybe it didn't click so well with us or with the community or with the players. So we could try a lot, and KCD2 is now, I strongly believe, the vision we had back in the times in Kickstarter in 2014. This is now the thing we always wanted to make, and we're super proud to release that soon.
One of the things I kind of wanted to bring to people that are, just because we're talking about it right now, is the voice acting. So the voice acting, I think that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is doing differently than others is you're putting the actors in a room together. It was something that we were discussing before, because you can see that Henry and Hans is kind of they're playing off each other. And I feel that there are some games right now that when you are having voice actors go back and forth and talking, it doesn't feel fluid. It kind of feels a little disjointed. And that's something that I know that you guys did not do. Because you put them in a room together, and I just want to say it worked out really great, and you could see how it really changed.
Well, we tried that, of course. This is not always possible. There's many characters, but Henry and Hans, when they do their scenes together, they're at least always together on the motion capture, and there we do the first round of capturing the voices. If it's good enough, great. If they have to recapture stuff, so the motion, so definitely all the cut scenes, they were together on scene, on screen, on the show. Flying into Prague, staying with us for several weeks, sometimes even months, and they were playing them all together. On the open world voice over stuff, of course, it's most of the time they're alone, so it's open world stuff. But yeah, as you said, for the major plot parts where you get like sucked in most, then they're definitely all together in the room, and yeah. So I think that shows.
Mm-hmm. No, I appreciate that. That's actually really cool. And again, like you were saying, it's just such a natural dialogue feel. But I just love just the conversation, the language that's being used, everything kind of reflective of the time period, which is awesome. I want to get back to Choice and Consequence, because what I really like about KCD that I miss from other games that I'm saying now is, like, remember, we're from the Mass Effect era, right? Mm-hmm. Where you go down that renegade and you could really be a bad person. Yeah. So it kind of was refreshing to have options where the game's not necessarily steering me a positive way all the time. Like, I could be a very evil Henry if I choose to be. I can choose to handle things very grimly, kind of thing. And I just want to get confirmation, as a result of this, do we get multiple endings?
So first of all, to answer that, action reaction, right? In KCD1 we put everyone into jail, but in reality in the Middle Ages people didn't want to throw people in jail, because then you have to feed mouths for like some assholes doing stuff, right? And we don't want to do that. So there were different ways of how to punish people, and now that is in the game as well. So you can pay a fine, you can get put into the stocks, you can be beaten with a stick, you can be branded. You can actually get the brand of murderer, I think, or thief. So you get branded, and the shopkeepers will see that, and they say, "Oh, no, we will not deal with you here." So you need to find other ways how to deal with that situation.
You gotta explain the branding. How does the branding happen? Tell me a scenario where I mess up and the branding can happen. My Henry can be branded.
Well, if you get caught, I guess, right? So that is do whatever you want, but be careful. So when they caught you right away, they will see you. Oh, there's so much things about to talk. So when they see you right away, they can tie the crime to you, and they will call you out. And if you surrender to the guards, they say, okay, you have to pay for your sins right now. For instance, if you kill someone in town, in Kuttenberg, that is something that gets you branded right away, for instance, if you overdo it. But you can go even further than that, because the ultimate punishment is that you get hanged, which is a game over. So you have to reload. And we delete your save. No, we don't. Don't worry. No,
don't do that.
No.
Why would you do that, Todd?
No.
That's hilarious. Like, and your save was on.
No, yes.
Permanent gameplay.
One shot. That's it.
Yeah.
Permadeath for real.
Exactly. We delete the game from Steam. You have to rebuy it again. No. Not gonna. But you actually can get executed, which means you have to reload. So don't do that. But what I'm trying to say is that it's even further. It goes even further than that. So if Jack the Ripper is in town, if you start killing people and no one knows it was you because no one saw you and you killed the witness or whatever, people will get more suspicious. The skill checks will be harder. They will start carrying weapons all of a sudden. If someone sees you committing a crime, someone weaker, RPG stats weaker, lower than you, they will run away and try to go to a guard, closest guard, will come with that guard, will see you, will talk about you. If you're gone, then the guard will start searching you. Now, if you go away, like the city, for instance, is pretty big. So if you go on the other side of the city, the guards will not react when they see you. Why? Because we don't have this GTA kind of style six stars and now the military is hunting you. It's the message has to spread first. So guard is talking to guard. So before it gets to the other side of the town, you can be long gone, right? Or if you started to time skip, then everyone will know, and then of course they will be searching for you. So again, we are trying really to have this as a reactive thing.
Were you saying that you were Jack the Ripper, killing people in town, or okay? I thought you were saying that there was like other people that were causing things in town that could cause problems for you.
Well, there's random events, of course, but not of that scale.
Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering.
Oh, this is amazing because I love like that aspect of how dynamic the game is really awesome, but it's also reflective of the time period. Like you said, it's not a GTA system where there's a star rating, whatever. It takes time to develop, and then I guess the NPC now reaches out to someone else or a guard in that regard. The complexity in having a world like this where things are reactive, and then it seems like NPCs have, what I was watching, have their set path and their schedule and stuff like that. How difficult is this? This seems like very immersive.
I think that's the single hardest thing, like code-wise or programming-wise or scripting-wise in the game. So the crime system and all those daily cycles, they are doing their schedules. That's fine, and they will do that. If you start messing with it, you can absolutely use it with to your advantage. So if you know that, for instance, this particular guy goes... in the morning they get up, they wash themselves, they go to work. After work they go to the pub. After the pub, in the pub they might get tipsy. If they are tipsy, you can pickpocket them easier. So you can mess with the schedules like that and use it to advantage. You know that everyone has to eat. So if you want to wipe out a bandit camp, you can go sort ahead, or you can try to sneak in and poison their food because they at some point will eat it and then drop that. So these things are really there for you to adventure and check out and try for yourself, because we want you as a player to think about, okay, how do I do that now? Because we never tell you, go there, push this button, kill this person, now take this item, go there now, and this is not going to happen. We tell you roughly, good enough, I hope, what the task is and why you're doing the stuff, but then there's the situation in front of you and it's like, okay, so go ahead, how would you deal with it, right?
So you're saying, since there's so much stuff going on, there's so much content in this game, and can you tell us how long it is from playing time for someone to start and complete Kingdom Come?
That's why it's more CPU driven than GPU driven, because we have all the systems in the background. So upgrade your CPU.
CPU's right.
Yeah. So we are doing right now these internal beta testing, friends and family trying the game and promising that they will finish it. And there's I talked to this one dude who finished something above 90 quests or so, and it took him 90 hours. So my guess is that's something somewhere between 80 and 100 hours for the full game with the side quests and main quests and everything. So that's without the DLCs though. They are coming then at the later stage, but it's a hefty big RPG. However, what is important that there's not a single filler quest in there. Some quests are maybe more bombastic than the others, of course, because sometimes we want you to feel miserable when carrying sacks, and you as a player say, that's a shitty task, because it is a shitty task and you should feel like this is a shitty task, right?
And there's a legit task in the game.
Oh, yes,
I saw it in one of the earlier things.
Yes.
I'm like, they're literally making you do this.
Yes. But every single quest in the game should be unique. They should introduce either a new character or some new fun dialogue or some new situation and so on. And you never will have like filler fetch quest, bring me 20 apples and then let's see what's going on.
Is there any kind of like special like Easter egg quests or anything like that brings you to some amazing like armor or weapons or anything like that? Is there? I know we're not allowed to know exactly what they are, but is there something like that in this game?
You know what's really messed up? That every single department in the studio, every single dev we have there, thinks it's the funniest thing in the world to put in all the Easter eggs in there, but no one keeps track. So I'm a tiny little bit afraid that it's so much that there's so many Easter eggs in there that I'm not even sure if all of them are okay, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha.
But it should be fine, I guess. I think in KCD1 we had the famous traffic cone. If you get super drunk, you can wake up in this like place where you can't go if you're not drunk. So you wake up at this higher location. There's a chest and a traffic cone. So and these kind of things are all over the place as well. I know a few Easter eggs which are really crazy. I can tell you already that in KCD1 we had this thing going on where in every cutscene was a chicken. So every single cutscene had a chicken somewhere, and the guys have something prepared for you, which is even worse than that.
That's awesome, man. One thing I want to commend you guys is obviously we know the journey, how long it's been to make this game, and the release and all the effort that's put in time for it. But we also know the release cadence, right? And how crazy next year is. But one thing I really appreciate was the announcement. I saw you make a post and a video, and to my happiness, I saw KCD2, the release date moved up. Tell me about that decision process with the team, because again, there's so many games coming out that month, and a lot of people were worried. We're like, we don't have enough time. But what was that thought process, and how did you guys kind of narrow it down and say, okay, we're going to knock it out at the top of the month?
So we initially thought that we will release in 2024, and we really tried hard to do that, and then figured out, hey, you know what, we love the game, the people love the game, and honestly, we just need a bit more time to get it out there and make it nicer, polished around the corners. It runs extraordinarily well performance-wise, so I have absolutely no doubts in that. What we do, though, because it's such a big RPG, we try very hard to get rid of at least the very annoying bugs. Of course, there will be visual glitches here and there, but the point is that it shouldn't piss you off if you play the game. Then we thought, hey, okay, in December no one releases. Late December and January, people are still drunk from New Year's Eve, so earliest would be end Jan or mid-February, somewhere in between. So we picked the date, then everyone else followed us. So we said, okay, you know what? The game is ready. There's nothing more to do or to wait. So we are gold. It's being produced at the moment. What we are working on right now is the patches and so on, of course, because you have to produce the game long before you release the game for PlayStation consoles and so for PlayStation and Xbox and so on. So and the time in between you want to use, of course. So while on PC you can always update and patch everything immediately with Steam. That it's like an Insta thing. It's a bit trickier with consoles. So these things have to be considered as well. And as I said, then all the others came in and we said, you know what, the game is ready. We are super confident. and we want you to start with the best game of 2025, right?
Ooh, see, I like how he talking right now. See, the level of transparency and confidence right now, you have to respect it. Because one, again, moving it up. Two, but what I like is the tech breakdown as far as, hey, these are all the platforms. And on console, 60 frames per second on Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5. You even have PlayStation 5 Pro enhanced, which was super impressive. So salute to the team for that level of transparency. Because, not enough studios are willing to comment or even put that out there. And then for our, enjoyment in the sense that, hey, it was like, hey, go play. Go knock this out. Like, to see that level of confidence for the team is really refreshing. We don't see that a lot. So I definitely wanted to shout and hopefully relay that back out to the team. But you were going to say something to add on.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm with you, flat release for all consoles, PC, everything at the same time. So yes, we got a confirmation. I just wanted to make sure so everyone knows that PC Master Race isn't getting ahead of the game.
Respect us, console plebs. Continue.
I don't think at a certain size of a studio. I mean, Rockstar does it all the time. They are splitting that, but let's see if they will actually do that for GTA 6 as well. Who knows? But I think at a certain time, it's better if you do it the same day. Everyone can play. No one feels left out. No one gets spoiled, and it's also easier to target when you're a marketeer like me. Then it's easier to have the big push rather than several small ones. But we had about the consoles. That's quite an interesting thing because for the longest time, honestly, up until at the Gamescom, I didn't know yet that we will have 60 frames per second. So really, this is a breakthrough moment that happened recently in the studio. So this was really something we did not expect for the longest time. And then we got this moment. We said, "Eureka! We might be able to get the 60 frames. Let's work on that." And then we decided to have the quality and performance mode, which are also on the PC version. So you can also choose that if you want. So as I said, that was a surprise moment for the studio, and we immediately started to work on that. Right now we are playing here, I think, on 4080s or something, and the specs that we have on the PC specs schedule thing that we put on social media are all without DLSS in mind. So they're all native, and today we are playing here with DLSS. And we have, I think, 170 frames or something, which is like, it runs insanely good. As I said, it is CPU driven, so you have to have that ready. So it's not the GPU, but yeah. Other than that, I think it's fair and valid, and it's also not so surprising, I think, if you compare it to other games.
No, impressive. And what we played, I mean, like I said, it looked impressive. Again, really immersive. I just miss... When I remember playing Kingdom Come Deliverance for the first time, I was just like, this is like the most realistic, rooted Skyrim I've ever played in my life. I'm like, I gotta bathe, you gotta do all this stuff. Henry gets hungry, which is the classic line. Yeah. I'm quite hungry, say that kind of stuff. So it takes you back to, what I feel you guys have targeted, which is that mission of staying grounded and sticking to your roots and stuff. But I want to ask you a flip question for the casual. Mm-hmm. For the guy that says, all right, man, there's a lot of systems, there's a lot going on, but I may be intimidated. Mm-hmm. How do you tackle that person who's trying to get into Kingdom Come Deliverance?
It's a role-playing game, and if you do the systems all the systems that are in game, they're just an offer for you to choose. If you want to do the blacksmithing thing, there's a lot of things you have to do and take care of the color of the sword, the iron, and then hammer it in the right place and so on. If you want to roleplay, if you want to do that, great. If you say, too complicated, then you don't do that. And that goes pretty much with all the systems in the game. So yes, it requires you, it's definitely a different kind of video game, absolutely. It's definitely will not grab you by the arm and drag you through the game. So you have to sometimes lean back first and think, okay, so what's my next steps? When we release you in the open world, you need to first find armor, you need to find some money, you need to find a place to stay, because this is what Henry would do in this moment, right?
I need my snaps too.
Yeah, there you go. In
In
KCD2, the tutorial ends with you being in the stocks, and then they open up in the open world. But you're bare-assed on the stocks, so you don't have anything. So you need to gather those things. And in many games, you just run in the first bandit camp, kill them all, and then you're kitted up. You could do that, but it will be really hard in KCD. We want you just to step back for a second and just observe and analyze the situation and think, okay, what's next on the plan? I hope it's not too intimidating. I think there's always a way around. There's always a way how you can solve the quest. There's always several ways how you can solve the quest. If you feel like there's a dead end, either come later or try something different. Again, step back. Listen, eardrop to the people that are talking stuff. They sometimes give you hints. They tell you about some secret stashes or something. If you go out, venture there first, you get some kit already. So again, prepare, find your way, focus on something that you like. Speech, combat, stealth, those things will help you in the quests, and you can solve them mostly by the skills you like. So you don't have to feel like I skilled speech all the time and now I can't fight any fight. That you will always be able to get further, right? So I don't think it's intimidating because there's too much. I think it's intimidating because the player has to think.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is the best advice you can give a person just starting off? They didn't play KCD 1, but now they're playing KCD 2. What is the biggest advice that you can tell that individual?
Don't rush, absolutely. So don't rush into the main quest. You can, but don't. It will be harder for you. And prepare your kit, prepare your outfit, prepare your items, prepare your food, prepare save options and so on, and get ready to survive in that world. So especially in the beginning, you see the main quest and they will push you. Oh, we need to get to that wedding and so on. But before you do that, look at the side quests that are going on. There's the option to get a horse. Get a horse because then you don't have to walk anymore. So it's like, step back for a second, analyze the situation, and think of, okay, what if I would be stuck there? What would be the next thing I would try to do? Of course, get some money, get a place to stay, and so on and so on. So, relax. That's the advice.
And I would say that is fantastic advice because I feel, me personally, I feel that most people now, when they are going into combat scenarios, they kind of rush in. I don't think that enough people take a moment to assess what's around them.
Especially with that stamina.
Yeah.
You better take a moment.
You better take a moment. So taking that moment and kind of, assessing the situation and walking into it is a fantastic way for people to kind of be brought into this environment and something that people will, they'll enjoy the game a lot more if you take a moment to be more immersed in it. Yeah. And that's what I would say. Yeah. And then taking a look around.
I agree. I think, it's a game that's meant to be explored. It's meant take your time. Like you said, analyze the situations. You can actually handle situations I see completely different from others based on your style of play and what you encounter. And I thought that was really cool. And then I guess the last thing I have as far as like relationships, obviously there's a ton of characters in this game. It seems like there's going to be a ton of important people and figures and stuff like that. Maybe what are the things, obviously we're not going to spoil, but what things should people look out for, with as far as the interactions and I'm assuming like bombastic set pieces and things like that. What things can they look out for in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 versus Kingdom Come Deliverance 1?
So I think generally the majority of characters you will meet in the second game are absolutely new, so you don't there will never be the situation where someone talks to you like, hey, yeah, friend, and we know each other from, and you were like, I don't know that person. So if someone is a character that you know, then they will introduce themselves properly and they will remind you of what's going on and stuff. So no fear there. But generally, I think again, because I mentioned that earlier, the interactions of the open world should hint you towards certain things. There's a trader right in the beginning. He says, hey, welcome. And you only know that if you actually go to the shop and try to buy something. You say, hey, look at my wares and shit, but I'm sorry, I would love to offer you more, but my wagon got nicked or dropped over or fell into a creek or something. I have to get that later, blah, 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 blah. If you say, aha, good, thank you for that info, you go there, you can find the stuff, right? So if you eardrop a little bit and see what the world is doing and saying, that's the thing. And most of the characters, as I said, are absolutely new. You are now, in KCD2, part of this guerrilla warfare gang.
I got a team.
Think of Ocean's 11, Inglourious Basterds. So each of them are kind of misfits, but together they are fighting for what they perceive as the greater good. And the interaction between them will be really humorous. It will be really fun. There's a really interesting bunch of characters. We can see some of them behind us here that you have to gather. You cannot randomly gather anyone, but it's story driven and so on, right? So I think the characters generally are really well written, and there's a lot of laughs ready for you. Laughs like laughing, haha. Loves maybe also.
A lot of love and
Yeah.
hopefully more love later. Right? For Hans is a venturous person. I would just say that he's very his focus in a lot of these missions. Sometimes he gets distracted by things and people and individuals, kind of thing. But I was gonna wrap just saying, like, just to see the journey, Warhorse, and how far you guys have come, and again sticking to the vision, knowing what you guys are. You're getting, obviously we're still a couple months away, but we're getting towards the finish line. The game is gold. I'm super proud to see where this thing goes. It felt amazing. Again, we played a lot. They were very transparent with us, Lords. They let us rock out, and we will have a lot to say even further. But just any final comments as to, you're getting close, a couple months away from launch, you're getting to the finish line. Any final thoughts for Kingdom Come Deliverance?
So first of all, thank you for your support. I mean, we know each other for a very long time, but also the people out there, I think we always tried, because you mentioned the transparency, we always tried to be community first. We had to because of the Kickstarter, but we never forgot where we come from, even though we are now in the bigger leagues, let's say, right? But still, when we're not there yet. We're trying to compete, right? It's small steps, but still, we are ready for the fight. That's why KCD2 is the best game of 2025, right? But we didn't forget, and for us it was also with the delays and with the information that we are giving. We always try to tell that first to the community on our social media before the press was allowed to talk about it. So I think that is very important. I think we try hard to communicate, to be in contact with you, to do a good game that the people appreciate, that the community appreciates, that even newcomers appreciate, and I think that is important. So thank you for your support. See you in Bohemia 1403 on February 4th.
Absolutely. Petey, any final words for the legend, Sir Tobi, in the realm, back again?
No words for me. Just saying thank you for this opportunity, for allowing us to come here and, enjoy Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I'm excited to get it. I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to, see what happens with Henry and Hans and their escapades, as always. And, I wanted to say thank you to War Studios for, producing something that I know many people are, that aren't here presently, but are back in the studio and, working on the game. They did a fantastic job, and, I'm very proud of them, and I'm very happy that they made what they made, and this is great.
Likewise. Likewise, I get it. For me, watching, going to the conventions and seeing developers, and I remember, seeing you guys at an early stage and seeing the vision and seeing
the
where
backpack,
obviously. But it reminds me of the sports. It's like see your draft pick grow up into a superstar. It kind of mimics this story, which is from a boy, to a man, maybe a man to a lord, or something greater, right? Kind of thing. So again, we're pulling for you guys as you get close to the finish line. An absolute pleasure, Sir Tobi. Warhorse Studios, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, February 4th, all the major platforms. Go check it out. You will not be disappointed, and we have more to show you guys later. Peace.
Take care.